My name is Albany Garcia, and I'm excited to be here with you today to talk about this exciting partnership. I am currently a Washington State Opportunity and Seattle Promise Scholar attending North Seattle Community College. I grew up in Venezuela and graduated from Ingraham High School. I am currently studying computer science with dreams to become a software engineer when I finish my degree. I'm excited about this partnership because it will benefit a student just like me in the future. I was born in Venezuela. I came here 3 years ago, trying to find a better future, as did many others. Ever since I was young, I wanted to become a doctor and help people. But living in Venezuela quickly changed my life and made that seem impossible. Before I immigrated, people close to me used to tell me I wouldn't be able to study in the United States. That is almost impossible for an immigrant, they say. I graduated from Ingraham High School in just 8 months. I was even impressed with myself because English is such a barrier. At Ingraham, I was told I could receive the Seattle Promise Scholarship, and it was the best news I ever received. That scholarship allowed me to start imagining the careers I could have. I started thinking, what will I do? What will I study? Becoming a doctor wasn't in my plans anymore for many reasons. But I thought, why not choose something that is challenging for me? Yes, I'll choose math, the subject that I have a love-hate relationship with. where I come from, science and math class are for men. I decided to take a risk. I love knowing how things work, and the world of computer was one of them. That's how I found computer science. Kamara Harris, who works at Washington State Opportunity Scholarship, now was one of my first counselors in college, and she means so much to me because she always believed in me, even when I was in my worst moment. She told me that I could apply to Washington State Opportunity Scholarship. It was the first application I ever filled out, and I got it. I'm so grateful to be part of this family. This partnership will be amazing because it will help many students like me be able to afford their college expenses and still support their family. Since I moved here, I have worked to help my family get ahead. It was hard to have time to both work and study. I'm so sorry.
You're doing awesome.
Sorry. Okay. It was hard to have time to both work and study until I realized there was so much help available for people like me. I just needed to ask the right question and be in the right place. Seattle Promise, the Orca card, and the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship are an unbeatable help that allow me to study and still help my family. This help is making dreams come true. Look like me. I'm achieving things that I never thought possible, and I can tell there are a lot of people that care about people like me. Thank you for being here today and helping a student like me make their dreams come true. This will be an incredible opportunity for Seattle students.
Thank you so much, Albany. It's very humbling to listen to her words. So hello, everyone, and welcome to South Seattle College. My name is, this is one of our chemistry labs where students begin their journey towards STEM careers. My name is Rosie Ramondo Cherensap, and I serve as the president of South Seattle College, and it is great to have such a powerful array of civic and business leaders with us today to discuss the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship and Seattle Promise. In fact, it was here at South that Mayor Durkin first announced her focus on Seattle Promise on her first day in office in November 2017. On behalf of the Seattle College's Chancellor Sean Pan and my fellow presidents, I'd like to start out by sharing a bit about Seattle Promise. The program is meeting the needs of students like Albany by providing up to 2 years of free tuition, additional equity scholarships, and dedicated student supports and advising. We are serving a racially and ethnically diverse group of scholars with more than 65% students of color taking part. Our college is the birthplace of the Seattle Promise program and its predecessor, the 13th Year Promise Scholarship. And it is so rewarding to see the expansion of Seattle Promise in collaboration with the Seattle Public Schools and the City of Seattle over such a short period of time. In 4 years, Seattle Promise has grown by more than 475%. It started with 230 students in 2018, and this fall we enrolled more than 1,100 students across the Seattle colleges. At the individual level, many of the Promise scholars report they did not see college as an option after high school without this support. Seattle Promise is a bridge for them to career training and associate degree paths to prepare them for a successful transfer to a bachelor's degree program at a university. The Washington State Opportunity Scholarship represents yet another pillar of support for students across our state focused on earning a bachelor's degree and starting careers in STEM and in healthcare careers. Here in Seattle, it is a powerful extension of that bridge to family supporting careers that start with Seattle Promise. And through these programs, we are making a real difference in addressing the historical underrepresentation of students of color in STEM and in healthcare fields. And with that introduction, I'm so excited to welcome Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin to the podium to share details on the new partnership between the City of Seattle and Washington State Opportunity Scholarship.
Thank you so much, Rosie. It is so great to be here, and it is a perfect almost bookend to my time as mayor. As she said, one of my first press conferences right here to announce our commitment to expanding the Promise program. And with voters, 70% of voters saying yes, we're able to do that. Seattle Promise is really one of my proudest accomplishments, but it's not mine. It is what today shows you is it's really the students. The students, Seattle Public Schools, the colleges, our business community, those partnerships have been key to our success. And working with the state legislature as well, opening up other doors has been so critical. You're going to hear from Brad Smith after me of Microsoft, who has been just an invaluable partner, not just to the city of Seattle in this endeavor, but throughout the pandemic, but has been committed to educational equity and opportunity for a decade in this area. We are really glad to be able to announce this arrangement today. Seeing students succeed in college, we know, is really the long-term way that we can assure equity and opportunity in our city. We know that we have to have pathways for our students, and getting this partnership with our Seattle Public Schools and those students and their families has been so important. Throughout this pandemic crisis, we saw students taking advantage of this program in high numbers. But we also saw that, like students everywhere and families everywhere, it's a struggle. It was a struggle to stay in school, to stay focused, to do online learning. And so we had to work with the colleges to pivot and to innovate and to think, how do we make sure that they're getting support for the other things they need, whether it's transportation or childcare or books, sometimes food or housing security. So throughout this program, we've really been focused on those needs. Today is just another step in a really important partnership to expand the opportunities, to really let our students contribute to the brilliance of our economy in the STEM area, and to further support the needs and creativity of the students. With the help of the leaders who are here today, we are really happy to announce this new partnership with the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship to strengthen pathways to college and career advancement for Seattle Promise scholars who are planning to pursue jobs in the trades, sciences, technology, engineering, mathematics, which is STEM, everyone knows, and healthcare. And we've seen how important that is during the pandemic. Our healthcare providers saved us, and we need more people in those fields. But we also saw that because we had access to some of the best technology and best scientists, that we as a city did better during the pandemic. And as much as we suffered, as hard as it was, today we are one of the highest vaccinated cities in America, at over 87% of eligible people vaccinated in the city, and we still have the lowest incidence of disease and mortality of any large city in America. It's a stunning accomplishment given that we were the first in with no roadmap and really no assistance. But it came from partnerships like we have here today. Seattle is the first municipal match partner for this program, and the city will invest up to $400,000 through 2023 in this scholarship program. The state will match the city's investment dollar for dollar. This new pathway to college is funded by the city's CLIFR allocation, which was part of the federal monies that we got, and is part of our economic response to the COVID pandemic response. We saw very early on that COVID did not hit everybody equally. Our communities of color were disproportionately impacted, both by the economic impacts and by the health impacts. And we saw the disparities in our economy accentuated during that period of time. We knew that we couldn't just respond to the pandemic, we also had to plan our short-term and long-term recoveries. And the long-term recovery means more opportunities, particularly for our students of color. We are so focused now on strengthening our existing support for our Promise Scholars and investing in that future workplace. This new partnership does exactly that. I have said before that Seattle Promise is really something that I think our whole city can be proud of. As we said, from 2018 to 2021, we've had over 1,800 students enrolled. We know that that's going up, and we've seen from families that it's meeting a need in our community that was never met before, and it's really remarkable. Students continue to break the record of enrollment, and our program now is becoming a national model because we found a way to keep more students in, to have more of them complete their degree or transfer to a four-year college, which is critical. So we know it works. We know if we give the students the opportunity and the support that they need, they're going to be successful. And some of these Promise Scholars are amazing. One of the things I was able to do right at the end of this last school year was be here at South to hand out the diplomas to people who had finished. And seeing some of those Promise Scholars come through the line with their families, the first in their family to go to college, for me was what everything we do is all about, is providing that opportunity and doing it in partnership through community. So I want to thank everyone for being here today. I want to introduce Brad Smith from Microsoft. As I said, many of you know Brad, but he has been committed to educational equity and opportunity for a decade or more and has really looked for opportunities. At the beginning of the pandemic, Brad was one of the people I reached out to quickly because we knew we were going to have to change quickly. And he and the other business leaders not just went to work from home, which broke the back of the pandemic, but throughout the pandemic, we're looking for ways to provide vaccines, testing capability, whatever the community needed, they pivoted to help. So it's really an honor for me to be able to introduce Brad. You'll also hear from some phenomenal state legislators who throughout this process have always been focused on, yes, we have to respond, but how do we build on equity and opportunity? And I think that the partnerships we hear today will show a lot about how we in this region have been successful, will continue to be successful, and will come back better and stronger. Brad, it's yours.
Well, thank you. It's a real pleasure for me to be here. I serve by day as the president of Microsoft, and I have this wonderful additional job to chair the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship Program. I've had the opportunity to do that since the program was founded in 2011, first at the appointment of Governor Gregoire, and then more recently, of course, upon the appointment of Governor Inslee. This is an important milestone. This step by Mayor Durkin and the City of Seattle will enable more students who grow up in Seattle to go to college in Washington and fill the high-paying jobs that businesses are creating across Puget Sound. It will literally change people's lives. When the program was created a decade ago, it was a unique step for Washington State, unique in the country, and indeed it remains unique in many ways today. Because as you heard, when money is raised, it is matched. It comes from local municipalities or from, more likely, philanthropists and companies, and the state has a proven, consistent track record of matching it dollar for dollar. It has raised collectively $200 million. Already 5,000 students across Washington State have graduated from our colleges and universities as Opportunity Scholars. They've had the opportunity to get up to $22,500 for their college career, but in so many ways, more important than that, has been the wraparound services, the mentoring, the counseling, and with the involvement of the local business community, the opportunity to serve as interns in the summer. We expect that by the middle of this decade, we will reach our 20,000th graduate of the Opportunity Scholarship Program in Washington State. It has opened the door to Washington's colleges and universities to students of color, to women, to people first in their family to go to college. And what is perhaps most noteworthy is that 5 years after they graduate, on average, the people who are scholars have a salary of more than $100,000 and more than twice what their entire family had as a family income when they were a senior in high school. It works, and it has a proven track record of working. This step is a first of its kind, to have the city of Seattle step forward to allocate these funds, to focus on gaining the state's match, to create more opportunities for students who grow up in Seattle, who come out of Seattle public schools, who can participate not only in the community colleges, but the great other colleges and universities in our state, is another major step forward, both for Washington and for the Seattle Promise. We wouldn't be here today without the vision and the leadership of Mayor Durkin, as well as others. We wouldn't have gotten started a decade ago without the leadership and support of Frank Chopp when he was the Speaker of the House, and we literally would not be having this press conference today without the vision and leadership of Drew Hansen, who helped guide the legislation that makes this kind of municipal match possible. If there's one thing that we've learned over the last decade, it's that when our community comes together in this way, we can serve the students who grow up here in a way that remains the envy of the rest of the country, but in so many ways is the North Star for our future and building a better opportunity, as the name suggests, for our students to go to college. So thank you, and thank you, Mayor Durkin.
Brad is always a hard act to follow. Thanks so much for including me here in the conversation today, celebrating this really important announcement. I'm Kimber Connors, the Executive Director for the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship. This year, WSOS is celebrating our 10th anniversary, and with it, a decade of impact. Our scholars are twice as likely to graduate within 4 years when compared with peers, and they also make twice what their families make when they applied within 5 years of graduating, as Brad mentioned. 2/3 of Opportunity Scholars are first-generation college students, nearly 7 in 10 are students of color, and all are from low or middle-income Washington families. We're helping diversify our STEM and healthcare workforce by increasing the number of women and students of color who have access to the fields where they've long been underrepresented. Financial aid is important to ensuring that students can finish their credentials and launch their careers. But students, especially those with the lived experiences of the majority of Opportunity Scholars, need more than just money to reach the finish line. At WSOS, we've developed impactful mentorship programs that help our students build community and overcome systemic barriers. We do this through our peer and industry mentorship models and help our scholars build communities, access social capital, and build their soft skills for academic and career success. New census data indicate that the number of Seattleites who are employed in STEM has doubled since WSOS was created. And Seattle is ranked #1 in the country with the greatest proportion of residents working in STEM fields. Yet the people who fill these jobs don't reflect the diversity of our state. And the impacts of COVID-19, as Mayor Durkin mentioned, have been felt most acutely by low-income families, those without a post-secondary credential, and communities of color. If we're to steward our economy into a more equitable future, it's imperative that we better connect all Washington students with the skills and training that they need to fill Washington jobs. We're incredibly grateful to the City of Seattle, all of the leaders here in this room today, for stepping forward as our first municipal partner and showcasing what's possible. We're excited to work with tribes, cities, and counties of all sizes and geographic locations across the state to take advantage of WSOS as a strategic workforce development tool and a lever for social equity. Together, we can build a skilled workforce that reflects our communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to start by thanking the college for hosting us today. They're a tremendous asset to the entire community. I want to thank the mayor for stepping forward and doing the right thing and doing it first in the state of Washington. I particularly want to thank Brad Smith. I remember, Brad, when we were thinking this idea about 10 years ago, and we were talking about this concept, and we said this is all about opportunities and jobs. And so we called it the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship. Seemed the right thing to do at that time. And now it was based then, and as it is now, on a partnership. At that point, it was a partnership between the state of Washington and the businesses of this state to basically train and educate Washington students for Washington jobs. And that's what led to this effort. It's so great to see how many students have benefited from it, but it's also benefited the business out there who've got well-trained workers to do the work that we need to do. But now what's great is we have a partnership with the city of Seattle. And by the way, I grew up in East Bremerton, so I'm going to appeal to them to expand it over in Bremerton. If you saw East Bremerton, you know why we need some education investment, I'll tell you. It's because it's not just for high-tech jobs. It's a whole range of issues, blue-collar work as well. The thing about this is it helps spur the effort for the Workforce Education Investment Act that we passed in 2019, which included the matching provision for municipalities contributing. A key worker in that regard is Drew Hansen, who will be up next here. That bill that built on the Opportunity Scholarship now provides free college and university tuition for all low-income students in the state of Washington. It's the best in the nation by far, and it builds on this ethic of providing opportunities and jobs. And the other thing about it that you should note is that the state money is the first dollar in. I don't know if you've heard about Seattle cost of living, but if we can cover tuition with these programs, the Pell Grant at the federal level can pay for living expenses for the students. It's incredibly important that we keep that in mind, because how do you go to school if you can't afford to for tuition? We're covering that, but also in terms of living here, they need to have that component. And I'm really pleased about that. So I'd like to turn it over to the representative who represents Bainbridge Island, but also East Bremerton, and since we're in a chemistry lab, I thought I'd introduce him as one of the key catalysts for these efforts, Drew Hansen.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker Emeritus. I'm Drew Hansen. I represent East Bremerton as well as most of Kitsap County. And yeah, I'm thrilled to be here today. Mayor Durkin came to hustle me about this idea some years ago quite intensely. And when the mayor of Seattle comes up and she has a priority, that is the kind of thing you listen to, even if you're not from Seattle. So this is great, right? It's a great partnership between the city of Seattle, the state, the business community, particularly Microsoft. We are not always working together. Sometimes we fight, okay? But this is great because now we're all working together because we have this huge shared goal. We have a couple $1 trillion companies in this state. They are creating cajillions of jobs. They are hiring people from all over the planet. We would like them to be able to hire as many people from Washington State as they can. And that's what they want too, which is what this is all about. So this particular initiative that we're announcing today was made possible by my bill in 2019, but credit where it's due. It actually started in the bill of the current chair of the College and Workforce Development Committee, Representative Vandana Slatter, who couldn't be here today. She is an unusually diligent legislator doing other work. But give it up for Chair Slatter. This is great. Hopefully she can hear us from wherever she is. But at the end of the session, it got slammed into my bill, as many other things did that particular session. And that was the bill that Speaker Emeritus Chop talked about that makes college and university tuition free in this state for families earning about 50 grand a year or less. It is a huge deal. We got about $1 billion out of a surcharge on businesses that bring in a lot of revenue, and we use that money to make college free for tens of thousands of working families across the state. That would not have been possible without a lot of people, but I do want to single out, and it's not just because they're here, without the leadership of Microsoft. If Microsoft hadn't stepped up and said, as kind of the anchor tenant of this initiative, and wrote in an op-ed that was co-authored by a couple higher education leaders and said, we need to do something significant and transformative, and some of us in the business community are willing to pay for it, we would not have had free college for tens of thousands of people in this state. So give it up one more time for the people in Microsoft, because it's amazing. So look, this is the first partnership we have with a government and the state. We hope it's not the last, right? We're getting 30 students into this program because of the city of Seattle. But we want 300, right? We want 3,000. So we want not just Seattle, but also Spokane and Bellevue and the sovereign tribes and Bremerton and everywhere else in the state to realize if you a city or a tribe put in some money to help people go to college for free, we, the state, will match it. We'll pick up half the cost. Come take our money, right? It's right there. We'd be happy to help you, and we want more and more people from this state to have the opportunity to go be software engineers, to go be regular engineers, to go be HVAC technicians, all of the things the Opportunity Scholarship funds, because you will make money, you will make generational wealth, and you'll help all of us keep this state an amazing place to live. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you to South Seattle for hosting us. And now I get to introduce the director of, I believe, the Department of Education and Early Learning, Dr. Dwayne Chappelle. Give him a round of applause.
Good morning. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I am Dr. Dwayne Chappelle, the Director of Education and Early Learning, but I'm also excited to be here today to celebrate this new partnership along all of these amazing leaders that are here. These amazing leaders are doing incredible work in the city of Seattle to support our young scholars such as Albany that was speaking earlier, earn jobs in science, technology, mathematics, and healthcare field. At the Department of Education and Early Learning, we're working to assure that all of our Seattle students have access to equitable opportunities to support them so they can thrive in school and graduate on time and make that successful transition from college to their career, especially for our students further some educational justice. So bridging the Seattle promise with the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship will strengthen the transfer pathways for four-year institutions, which we know are important avenues to ensure that our scholars, especially those that are first generation, will be successful once they enter. Equitable access is the key. Equitable access to college and to these STEM and healthcare jobs are the key. As a father, as an educational leader and educational leader of color, I'm super passionate about ensuring that our Black and brown students have amazing opportunities to go to college and secure these great high wage earning jobs that we just heard about. We need more of our city's brilliant scholars and young people of color represented in our local STEM and healthcare industries. So I'm thrilled about this partnership with WSOS because it will guarantee more of our Seattle Promise scholars now will have an opportunity to transfer to a four-year university to secure a degree or a certificate. So at the Department of Education and Early Learning, we're committed to being creative, to find new innovative solutions, and to pull all of these regional resources together to improve college and career outcomes for our scholars. So I encourage all of our young people out there today to learn about this program, apply, and take advantage of this amazing opportunity to achieve a post-secondary degree that's going to lead to their career. The applications for the Seattle Promise is open now for all of the high school seniors, as well as the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship will open in January. So I would like to thank everyone for taking a moment to learn about this opportunity and continue to spread the great news and joy. With that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Durkin.
Thank you to everybody. You see the great partnerships we have here. It's true, I did hustle Drew Hansen. And I got to call out Lily Kodega, too, of our Intergovernmental Affairs. She continued to work this issue, and I think she might have said, if you don't want Jenny back here, you should get this done. With that, I just want to emphasize again, this is such an important program and partnership. And for us to be able to look for these opportunities wherever we can, I also want everyone here to remember the Technology Access Foundation. We were successfully able to work with the school district to bring them back to Seattle Public Schools, and they have probably some of the best programs nationally on STEM education for kids of color. So we now have that opportunity in Seattle Public Schools that will link up with this opportunity with these scholarships. And we want these great jobs to go to our kids. That is the long-term play for equity, for economic recovery. That's what this program is about. And I just, again, have to thank the colleges, too. This wouldn't happen without the work that the colleges have been doing. And they have been just an amazing partner. And through the pandemic, they have had to innovate and pivot every day on how to address their needs as a college. But they never forgot the Promise Scholars. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. Any questions for me or for any of the other people who are here, who you rarely get to see, so you might want to ask them questions.
I have a question for you. So how does it feel? You mentioned the kind of bookend of this, and we were there too on your second day in office when you announced that. How does it feel to be back here, in the waning weeks, announcing something like this?
It feels phenomenal because I think that, the pandemic was so hard. And it was hard on every family, every person, every business, and then laying on top of that after the murder of George Floyd, really having to be intentional about what does equity and opportunity mean and how do you break down those systemic racist barriers. And here we are, even through those hard times, we just kept working on the things that we know matter to our kids and the things that will provide long-term opportunity to these brilliant scholars, as Dr. Chappelle calls them. And so for me, it's enormously gratifying to see not only that it has worked as well as I thought, it has exceeded my expectations going in. We knew it would be important. We knew it could be successful. We knew it could change lives. But seeing it actually happen at this scale and getting more partnerships and more opportunities and free money was a good thing.
So this is a one-time pot of special money to benefit the Seattle Promise Scholars using federal relief funds? Is that
We're
right?
using the federal relief funds that gets matched by the state. On an ongoing basis, the city will be able to use other funds if they want. I wanted to make sure that we created the program. It would demonstrate its success. And I think that future mayors and future city councils will say, this dollar for dollar is one of the most important things we can do if we really believe in education justice. All right, I want to give it thanks to all you people back here. Thank you, everyone, for being here.